Shiloh was the severest battle fought at the West during the war, and but few in the East equaled it for hard, determined fighting. I saw an open field in our possession on the second day, over which the Confederates had made repeated charges the day before, so covered with dead that it would have been possible to walk across the clearing in any direction, stepping on dead bodies without a foot touching the ground.
The Battle of Shiloh, written by Ulysses S. Grant, General, United States Army. The Battle of Shiloh, or Pittsburg Landing, fought on Sunday and Monday, the 6th and 7th of April, 1862, had been perhaps less understood, or to state the case more accurately, more persistently misunderstood than any other engagement between National and Confederate troops during the entire rebellion.
Correct reports of the battle have been published, notably by Sherman, Buell, and in a speech before a meeting of veterans by General Prentiss.
We remember the valor and the sacrifice of our men at the Battle of Shiloh.
But all of these appeared long subsequent to the close of the rebellion.
Oh dear, another battle.
And after public opinion had been most erroneously formed. Events had occurred before the battle and others subsequent to it, which determined me to make no report to my then chief, General Halleck, further than was contained in a letter written immediately after the battle informing him that an engagement had been fought and announcing the result. The occurrences alluded to are these. After the capture of Fort Donelson,
this mud ain't fit for man nor beast.
With over 15,000 effective men and all their munitions of war, I believed much more could be accomplished without further sacrifice of life. Clarksville, a town between Donelson and Nashville in the state of Tennessee, and on the east bank of the Cumberland, as garrisoned by the enemy. Nashville was also garrisoned and was probably the best provision depot at the time in the Confederacy. Albert Sidney Johnston occupied Bowling Green, Kentucky with a large force.
Hold your intervals and keep the column tight. We move at my order. Major, ride ahead and see the ground. I want no delay when we step off.
I believed, and my information justified the belief that these places would fall into our hands without a battle if threatened promptly. I determined not to miss this chance, but being only a district commander and under the immediate orders of the department commander, General Halleck, whose headquarters were at St. Louis, it was my duty to communicate to him all I proposed to do and to get his approval, if possible. I did so communicate, and receiving no reply, acted upon my own judgment. The result proved that my information was correct and sustained my judgment. What then was my surprise after so much had been accomplished by the troops under my immediate command between the time of leaving Cairo early in February and the 4th of March to receive from my chief a dispatch of the latter date saying, "You will place Major General C.F. Smith in command of expedition and remain yourself at Fort Henry. Why do you not obey my orders to report strength and positions of your command?" I was left virtually in arrest on board a steamer without even a guard for about a week when I was released in order to resume my command again. Shortly after the Battle of Shiloh had been fought, General Halleck moved his headquarters to Pittsburg Landing and assumed command of the troops in the field. Although next to him in rank and nominally in command of my old district and army, I was ignored. And although I was in command of all the troops engaged at Shiloh, I was not permitted to see one of the reports of General Buell or his subordinates in that battle until they were published by the War Department long after the event. In consequence, I never myself made a full report of this engagement. When I was restored to my command on the 13th of March, I found it on the Tennessee River, part at Savannah and part at Pittsburg Landing, 9 miles above, and on the opposite or western bank. I generally spent the day at Pittsburg and returned by boat to Savannah in the evening. I was intending to remove my headquarters to Pittsburg, where I had sent all the troops immediately upon my reassuming command. But Buell, with the Army of the Ohio, had been ordered to reinforce me from Columbia, Tennessee. He was expected daily and would come in at Savannah.
Word from General Buell, sir. He should be here by tomorrow night.
I remained, therefore, a few days longer than I otherwise should have done, for the purpose of meeting him on his arrival.
General, the outposts report hearing wagons moving from Corinth after dark, more than usual.
Probably shifting camps, Rolly. They've been doing that for days. They won't attack us, not now.
Looks like we're stopping here for the night.
Good, I could use some rest before we move out tomorrow.
General Lew Wallace, with a division, had been placed by General Smith at Crump's Landing, about 5 miles farther down the river than Pittsburg, and also on the west bank. His position I regarded as so well chosen that he was not moved from it until the Confederate attack in force at Shiloh. The skirmishing in our front had been so continuous from about the 3rd of April that I remained on the field each night until an hour when I felt there would be no further danger before morning.
Yes, sir. The transport is ready.
Very well.
Markland, take this to the landing. Yes, sir.
The night was one of impenetrable darkness, with rain pouring down in torrents. Nothing was visible to the eye except as revealed by the frequent flashes of lightning. Under these circumstances, I had to trust to the horse without guidance to keep the road. I had not gone far, however, when I met General W.H.L. Wallace and General then Colonel McPherson coming. General Wallace, what are the conditions at the front?
All is quiet for now, sir. No movement beyond the tree line.
Very well. Get some sleep while you can. On the way back to the boat, my horse's feet slipped from under him.
General!
And he fell with my leg under his body. The extreme softness of the ground, from the excessive rains of the few preceding days, no doubt saved me from a severe injury and protracted lameness. As it was, my ankle was very much injured, so much so that my boot had to be cut off. During the battle and for 2 or 3 days after, I was unable to walk except with crutches.
If any of you plan on moving today, now'd be a fine time to start.
On the 5th, General Nelson, with a division of Buell's army, arrived at Savannah, and I ordered him to move up the east bank of the river to be in a position where he could be ferried over to Crump's Landing or Pittsburg Landing as occasion required. I had learned that General Buell himself would be at Savannah the next day and desired to meet me on his arrival.
Major Powell, take your men forward.
Colonel, General Prentiss has forbade any movement beyond the pickets.
I know what he said. Major, this army will not be surprised.
Yes, sir.
Fog's thick this morning. Yeah, but at least it ain't raining. Keeps the Rebs guessing.
Federal patrol? Looks like there's a lot of them. We gotta warn Hardcastle.
The Corps will advance. Guide center. March!
Keep that coffee hot. Seems the mist is clearing.
Oh, God. The Rebs are here. The rebels are attacking.
We've got to hit that line now. Keep moving.
Where did the rebels come from?
What do we do? Run! They're everywhere. Fire! Get back on! Forward, men! Take the color! Forward, men! Charge! Push them back! Come on, boys! Get them! Get them! Ooh.
Confederate assaults were made with such disregard of losses on their own side that our line of tents soon fell into their hands.
Come on, boys, we got him on the run! Move up, move up! Keep the pressure on! Don't stop now, boys! They're breaking! Up with you, boys! Forward now! Keep your line and press them hard! Press them hard! Stay with the colors and push on!
Affairs at Pittsburg Landing had been such for several days that I did not want to be away during the day. I determined, therefore, to take a very early breakfast and ride out to meet Buell. Gentlemen, the ball is in motion. Let us be off. Oh, thank you, Rawlins. He had arrived on the evening of the 5th, but had not advised me of the fact, and I was not aware of it until some time after. While I was at breakfast, however, heavy firing was heard in the direction of Pittsburg Landing.
Mind the ground, lads. It'll break your step if you let it. Forward through the swamp. Push on.
Close it up!
Watch the left flank. Keep moving.
Steady now, boys! Almost there!
Lieutenant, bring the rest of the companies up at once. Get them forward into this line.
I want status reports from all division commanders immediately.
Yes, General.
Hear that? It's intensifying quick.
Keep your fire steady, boys. Dress on your company and mind your officers.
On the way up the river, I directed the dispatch boat to run in close to Crump's Landing so that I could communicate with General Lew Wallace. I found him waiting on a boat, apparently expecting to see me. I want you to get your troops in line, ready to move on any orders you might receive. You may still be needed here at Crump's.
General Grant, my troops are already under arms and prepared to move on your orders.
Very well.
Grant needs us at the front by midday.
The road is barely passable for the wagons.
We have to push them harder. The general believes they may try to attack us at Crump's.
Up to that time, I had felt by no means certain that Crump's Landing might not be the point of attack. On reaching the front, however, about 8 a.m., I found that the attack on Shiloh was unmistakable. Nothing more than a small guard to protect our transports and stores was needed at Crump's. Captain A.S. Baxter, a quartermaster on my staff, was accordingly directed to go back and order General Wallace to march immediately to Pittsburg by the road nearest the river. Captain Baxter made a memorandum of his order.
Will, load your right, move faster! Don't let him break the line! He's firing! Fire that Will! Reload! Keep moving up! Keep moving! Don't stop! To the rear! Move! Almost there! Hold on!
About 1 p.m., not hearing from Wallace and being much in need of reinforcements, I sent 2 more of my staff, Colonel James B. McPherson and Captain W.R. Rowley, to bring him up with his division. They reported finding him marching toward Purdy, Bethel, or some point west from the river, and farther from Pittsburg by several miles than when he started. The road from his first position was direct and near the river. Between the 2 points, a bridge had been built across Snake Creek by our troops, at which Wallace's command had assisted.
This side looks good.
Yeah, watch your footing on that mud, though.
Expressly to enable the troops at the 2 places to support each other in case of need. Wallace did not arrive in time to take part in the first day's fight. General Wallace has since claimed that the order delivered to him by Captain Baxter was simply to join the right of the army, and that the road over which he marched would have taken him to the road from Pittsburg to Purdy, where it crosses Owl Creek on the right of Sherman. But this is not where I had ordered him, nor where I wanted him to go.
Forward march!
His was one of 3 veteran divisions that had been in battle,
Now, advance!
and its absence was severely felt. Later in the war, General Wallace would never have made the mistake that he committed on the 6th of April, 1862.
Gentlemen, General Early is coming fast, but if we hold him here, even for a few hours, Washington City stands.
We'll hold him, sir.
Shiloh was a log meeting house some 2 or 3 miles from Pittsburg Landing and on the ridge which divides the waters of Snake and Lick Creeks, the former entering into the Tennessee just north of Pittsburg Landing and the latter south. Shiloh was the key to our position and was held by Sherman. His division was at that time wholly raw, no part of it ever having been in an engagement, but I thought this deficiency was more than made up by the superiority of the commander. McClernand was on Sherman's left, with troops that had been engaged at Fort Donelson, and were therefore veterans so far as Western troops had become such. Next to McClernand came Prentiss with a raw division, and on the extreme left, Stewart,
Colonel Malmborg, bring the men into line. Yes, sir.
with 1 brigade of Sherman's division. Hurlbut was in rear of Prentiss, massed and in reserve at the time of the onset. The division of General C.F. Smith was on the right, also in reserve. General Smith was sick in bed at Savannah, some 9 miles below, but in hearing of our guns. His services on those 2 eventful days would no doubt have been of inestimable value had his health permitted his presence. The command of his division devolved upon Brigadier General W.H.L. Wallace, a most estimable and able officer, a veteran too, for he had served a year in the Mexican War and had been with his command at Henry and Donelson.
Advance the colors! Charge!
The position of our troops made a continuous line from Lick Creek on the left to Owl Creek, a branch of Snake Creek on the right, facing nearly south and possibly a little west.
How are we supposed to cross this now?
I don't rightly know, but we can't stay here.
The water in all these streams was very high at the time and contributed to protect our flanks. The enemy was compelled, therefore, to attack directly in front. This he did with great vigor, inflicting heavy losses on the national side, but suffering much heavier on his own.
Fire! Reload! Reload! Okay, fire! Ram it home! Push forward! Take the lead and fire! Fire at will! Take cover! Pour it into them, boys! Keep your fire hot! That's it! Reload and fire again! Keep it up, man! Let them breathe! Push forward, man! Up with you, boys! Forward now! Keep your line and press them hard! Press them hard! Stay with the colors! Get in there! Forward! Double quick time! Keep that line steady, men! Move faster! Close up the ranks! Hell, boys! Give them a taste of Southern steel!
A number of attempts were made by the enemy to turn our right flank where Sherman was posted, but every effort was repulsed with heavy loss.
We have to hold this position! Reload! Faster, men! Reload! We got him on the run, boys! Keep moving!
Hold the line steady. Don't give an inch.
Give him another volley! We're driving him, boys! We're driving him! Let's drive him into the Tennessee! I think I got him!
But the front attack was kept up so vigorously that to prevent the success of these attempts to get on our flanks, the National troops were compelled several times to take positions to the rear, nearer Pittsburg Landing. When the firing ceased at night, the National line was all of a mile in rear of the position it had occupied in the morning. In one of the backward moves, on the 6th, the division commanded by General Prentiss did not fall back with the others. I was with him, as I was with each of the division commanders that day. How you holding up, General?
Pressed hard, sir, but holding.
I'll send what support I can. And my recollection is that the last time I was with him was about 4:30, when his division was standing up firmly.
Steady, men. Dress the line and hold your fire until they show themselves. We'll give them a clean volley when they break the trees.
This left his flanks exposed and enabled the enemy to capture him. With about 2,200 of his officers and men.
General Chalmers, I surrender my command to you.
Your surrender is received. Your wounded will be cared for, General.
If it had been true, as currently reported at the time, and yet believed by thousands of people, that Prentiss and his division had been captured in their beds, there would not have been an all-day struggle with the loss of thousands killed and wounded on the Confederate side. There was no hour during the day when there was not heavy firing and generally hard fighting at some point on the line, but seldom at all points at the same time.
Keep it steady, boys. Fire as you load. Press on me. Don't let them push you back. Keep your intervals. Stay in the fight.
It was a case of Southern dash against Northern pluck and endurance.
Up with you, lads. Forward! Forward! Dress on the center. Captain, bring your company up on the left. Men, forward! Keep steady!
3 of the 5 divisions engaged on Sunday were entirely raw, and many of the men had only received their arms on the way from their states to the field. During the whole of Sunday, I was continuously engaged in passing from one part of the field to another, giving directions to division commanders.
We're ready for anything more those Rebs want to throw at us.
General, move your division forward. Support Prentiss on the line and hold that ground.
Yes, sir. We'll move at once. The men won't let you down, sir.
I never deemed it important to stay long with Sherman. Although his troops were then under fire for the first time, their commander, by his constant presence with them, inspired a confidence in officers and men that enabled them to render services on that bloody battlefield worthy of the best of veterans. How you faring, General?
Been fighting like the devil. Think we can hold them tomorrow. Could use some ammunition.
On the way. McClernand was next to Sherman, and the hardest fighting was in front of these 2 divisions.
Forward here! We will hold this ground! Colonel, bring that line forward now!
McClernand told me on that day, the 6th, that he profited much by having so able a commander supporting him. General, we're holding thanks to Sherman. His stand is keeping this flank alive.
You're certain he can hold?
He'll hold.
But if he breaks the line, goes with him.
Keep firing, man! Don't give it in!
A casualty to Sherman that would have taken him from the field that day would have been a sad one for the troops engaged at Shiloh. And how near we came to this. The nature of this battle was such that cavalry could not be used in front. I therefore formed ours into line, in rear, to stop stragglers, of whom there were many.
Hold the line, men. Wait for the stragglers. They're coming up now, sir. Good. Hold steady.
When there would be enough of them to make a show, and after they had recovered from their fright, they would be sent to reinforce some part of the line which needed support, without regard to their companies, regiments, or brigades.
You're heading back to the line or you'll be shot.
On one occasion during the day, I rode back as far as the river and met General Buell, who had just arrived. I do not remember the hour, but at that time there probably were as many as 4,000 or 5,000 stragglers lying under cover of the river bluff, panic-stricken, most of whom would have been shot where they lay without resistance, before they would have taken muskets and marched to the front to protect themselves. Most of these men afterward proved themselves as gallant as any of those who saved the battle from which they had deserted.
Sir, General Buell has arrived and is waiting for you on the transport. He seems irritated.
Rollins, I'd expect nothing less.
Right, sir.
This meeting between General Buell and myself was on the dispatch boat used to run between the landing and Savannah. It was brief.
General, I passed thousands of your men who believe the army is beaten. This is not the field I expected to find.
We will hold, General.
My lead brigades are landing now. They will go forward at once.
Get your men across. The distant rear of an army engaged in battle is not the best place from which to judge correctly what is going on in front. Later in the war, while occupying the country between the Tennessee and the Mississippi, I learned that the panic in the Confederate lines had not differed much from that within our own.
Stand firm, Iowa! Give them your fire! Keep that line tight!
Sir, General Wallace is down. You've been assigned command of the division. Right. Send word to General Grant that we are holding the line. Iowa is holding the line.
Wallace was mortally wounded in the first day's engagement, and with the change of commanders thus necessarily affected in the heat of battle, the efficiency of his division was much weakened. The situation at the close of Sunday was as follows. Along the top of the bluff just south of the log house, which stood at Pittsburg Landing, Colonel J.D. Webster of my staff had arranged 20 or more pieces of artillery facing south or up the river. This line of artillery was on the crest of a hill overlooking a deep ravine opening into the Tennessee.
Understood, sir.
Hurlbut, with his division intact, was on the right of this artillery. McClernand came next in the general line, looking more to the west. His division was complete in its organization and ready for any duty. Sherman came next, his right extending to Snake Creek. His command, like the other two, was complete in its organization and ready, like its chief, for any service it might be called upon to render.
General Sherman, how does your line stand?
Shaken, sir, but holding. Ready if we attack in the morning.
Attack? After a day like this?
When the firing ceased at night, the National line was all of a mile in rear of the position it had occupied in the morning. All three divisions were, as a matter of course, more or less shattered and depleted in numbers from the terrible battle of the day. The division of W.H.L. Wallace had lost its organization and did not occupy a place in the line as a division.
I never want to see another battle.
Prentiss's command was gone as a division, many of its members having been killed, wounded, or captured.
Keep together.
But it had rendered valiant service before its final dispersal and had contributed a good share to the defense of Shiloh. There was, I have said, a deep ravine in front of our left. The Tennessee River was very high, and there was water to a considerable depth in the ravine. Here, the enemy made a last, desperate effort to turn our flank, but was repelled. The gunboats Tyler and Lexington, Gwynn and Shirk commanding with the artillery under Webster, aided the army and effectually checked their further progress.
Colonel Ammon, once we disembark, your brigade moves straight to the left.
I'll have them formed before we touch shore.
It's been a hard day's work already. We'll have our share of it soon enough.
Before any of Buell's troops had reached the west bank of the Tennessee, firing had almost entirely ceased. Anything like an attempt on the part of the enemy to advance had absolutely ceased. There was some artillery firing from an unseen enemy.
Save some for tomorrow, boys.
Some of his shells passing beyond us.
I think I felt some rain. That's all we need, more rain.
But I do not remember that there was the whistle of a single musket ball heard. General Lew Wallace, with 6,000 effective men, arrived after firing had ceased for the day and was placed on the right. Thus night came, Wallace came, and the advance of Nelson's division came, but none unless night in time to be of material service to the gallant men who saved Shiloh on that first day, against large odds. The enemy received no reinforcements. He had suffered heavy losses in killed, wounded, and straggling, and his commander, General Albert Sidney Johnston, was dead. Nothing occurred in his brief command of an army to prove or disprove the high estimate that had been placed upon his military ability. General Beauregard was next in rank to Johnston and succeeded to the command.
Gentlemen, the enemy has been broken. Sir, they are not broken. They're reforming at the landing. We drove them to the river. They are beaten. Fresh troops are crossing. They're being reinforced.
Our men are worn out. The field is ours. We finished them in the morning.
Agreed. And we took a division commander.
General Bragg, I have already sent word of our victory to Richmond.
Sir, if we do not press them, we give them the day.
I have made my decision.
So confident was I before firing had ceased on the 6th that the next day would bring victory to our arms if we could only take the initiative, that I visited each division commander in person before any reinforcements had reached the field. General Lauman, how do you stand here?
Sir, the division is badly cut up, but the men here will hold.
Very well, hold this line. I'll send what support I can. I directed them to throw out heavy lines of skirmishers in the morning as soon as they could see, and push them forward until they found the enemy, following with their entire divisions in supporting distance, and to engage the enemy as soon as found.
Another trench almost.
The Army of the Tennessee lost on that day at least 7,000 men.
Make sure Jenkins gets his name recorded before we cover him. I never thought it would be like this, Frank.
You're not supposed to think. Dig.
To Sherman, I told the story of the assault at Fort Donelson, and said that the same tactics would win at Shiloh. Victory was assured when Wallace arrived, even if there had been no other support. During the night of the 6th, the remainder of Nelson's division, Buell's army, crossed the river and were ready to advance in the morning, forming the left wing.
Find a space. Set your tents.
Two other divisions, Crittenden's and McCook's, came up the river from Savannah in the transports and were on the west bank early on the 7th. Buell commanded them in person. My command was thus nearly doubled in numbers and efficiency. During the night, rain fell in torrents, and our troops were exposed to the storm without shelter.
Get closer, at least we stay a bit dry. I swear, this rain ain't ever gonna stop. My feet are soaked. This is hell.
I made my headquarters under a tree a few hundred yards back from the riverbank. My ankle was so much swollen from the fall of my horse the Friday night preceding, and the bruise was so painful that I could get no rest. Sometime after midnight, growing restive under the storm and the continuous pain, I moved back to the log house on the bank. This had been taken as a hospital, and all night wounded men were being brought in, their wounds dressed, a leg or an arm amputated as the case might require, and everything being done to save life or alleviate suffering. The sight was more unendurable than encountering the enemy's fire, and I returned to my tree in the rain.
Well, Grant, we've had the devil's own day, haven't we?
Yes. Lick 'em tomorrow, though. The advance on the morning of the 7th developed the enemy in the camps occupied by our troops before the battle began, more than a mile back from the most advanced position of the Confederates on the day before.
There could be Rebs around.
It is known now that they had not yet learned of the arrival of Buell's command. Possibly they fell back so far to get the shelter of our tents during the rain, and also to get away from the shells that were dropped upon them by the gunboats every 15 minutes during the night. The position of the Union troops on the morning of the 7th was as follows. General Lew Wallace on the right, Sherman on his left, then McClernand, and then Hurlbut. Nelson of Buell's army was on our extreme left, next to the river. Crittenden was next in line after Nelson and on his right.
Dress the ranks as they come
McCook
up.
followed and formed the extreme right of Buell's command.
This field cost them dearly yesterday. It will cost more before the day is done.
This division had marched on the 6th from a point 10 or 12 miles east of Savannah over bad roads. The men had also lost rest during the night while crossing the Tennessee.
The rain won't let up. We push on.
The men are ready, sir. Supplies are secure.
Good. Signal the pilot we depart now.
My old command thus formed the right wing, while the troops directly under Buell constituted the left wing of the army.
How many you figure, Colonel? 10, 15, 25. Come on!
Good morning. Is your division ready?
It is, General.
On the right, that's where they hit us hard yesterday. General, move your division to the right and prepare to attack.
Yes, sir.
In a very short time, the battle became general all along the line. This day, everything was favorable to the Federal side. We had now become the attacking party.
Soldiers, the line holds forward for the Union.
Holding steady, sir.
Hold the line! Fire at will! Reload and advance! That's it, boys! Pour it on! Hold the line, don't let up! Push them back, back! Prepare to fire! Load the guns! Infantry advance! Hold the line!
Forward, men! Take those guns!
Ready, fire! Forward! Shoot!
The last point held by the enemy was near the road leading from the landing to Corinth, on the left of Sherman and right of McClernand. About 3 o'clock, being near that point and seeing that the enemy was giving way everywhere else, I gathered up a couple of regiments, or parts of regiments, from troops nearby, formed them in line of battle and marched them forward, going in front myself to prevent premature or long-range firing. At this point, there was a clearing between us and the enemy favorable for charging, although exposed.
Sure looks like a lot of them. Reckon so.
I knew the enemy were ready to break and only wanted a little encouragement from us to go quickly and join their friends who had started earlier. After marching to within musket range, I stopped and let the troops pass. The command, "Charge," was given and was executed with loud cheers and with a run.
I'm getting out of here! Right behind you!
When the last of the enemy broke. During this second day of the battle, I had been moving from right to left and back to see for myself the progress made. The enemy was driven back all day, as we had been the day before, until finally he beat a precipitate retreat. After the rain of the night before and the frequent and heavy rains for some days previous, the roads were almost impassable. The enemy, carrying his artillery and supply trains over them in his retreat, made them still worse for troops following. I wanted to pursue, but had not the heart to order the men who had fought desperately for 2 days, lying in the mud and rain whenever not fighting. And I did not feel disposed positively to order Buell or any part of his command to pursue. But I directed Sherman with 2 brigades and elements of Wood's division, the day after the battle, to conduct a reconnaissance in force southwest along the Corinth Road. This to ascertain the position and condition of the retreating enemy, whether they were in full retreat or regrouping for a possible counterattack. This same day I rode forward several miles myself on the road to Corinth, and found that the enemy had dropped much, if not all, of their provisions, some ammunition, and the extra wheels of their caissons, lightening their loads to enable them to get off their guns. About 5 miles out, we found their field hospital abandoned.
Sir, you gonna go after him?
No, McCoy, it's over. Gather the men.
Shiloh was the severest battle fought at the West during the war, and but few in the East equaled it for hard, determined fighting. Later in the war, when Confederate armies were collected,
Captain, gather the officers. I want them here at once. We have much to discuss.
which not only attempted to hold a line farther south from Memphis to Chattanooga, but assumed the offensive and made such a gallant effort to regain what had been lost.
Can't see their strength in this fog, but they're coming, sure enough.
Then indeed I gave up all idea of saving the Union except by complete conquest.
Keep your intervals, boys. Steady on the colors. The fog's with us today. Dress to the right and take the rise, boys. Keep moving. We're nearly to the summit. Push up the hill.
General Thomas, are your people ready?
My guns are in place and sighted, General. Let him go, sir.
Let the guns open. Prepare the men to advance.
That's the signal, boys! Remember Chickamauga! Remember Chickamauga! Forward!
Here they come, boys! Take one shot now when they get close and skedaddle!
Steady, boys! Keep the line moving forward!
Fire! The colonel said take one shot and skedaddle back up! Fall back, boys! Up the ridge!
Forward, boys, forward! We can go to the top! Come on, boys, give them hell! We will carry the line! Push to the top! We can make it!
Thomas, did you order those men up the ridge?
No, sir, I did not.
Hold here!
Did you order them up, Granger? Because someone will catch hell if the charge fails.
No, sir. They started up without orders. When those fellers get started, all hell can't stop them.
Get away, boys, as best as you can! We'll form up again beyond the ridge. Go! Come on, boys! The crest's in sight! Push forward!
Sir, General Breckinridge sends word. His line is broken. He cannot hold, and he directed me to tell you his son has been taken.
That means Hardee is cut off! The army is split in two!
Charge! Up the hill! Hold the line! Fire!
Over the top!
Almost there, boys! Keep it moving! We've got him now!
That was my account of the Battle of Shiloh and other battles, published by the Century magazine in February 1885.